Another Tea and Tights Brit Wres special, as we're here to talk about No Mercy Wrestling, based in South Wales. No Mercy Wrestling debuted in 2022, established in 2021. You've also got the No Mercy Dojo, and of course we are joined by wrestler, promoter, owner of No Mercy, member of the BDK faction, the bastard's son, Chris Bevan. How are we doing?
I am very, very well. Thank you very much for having me, Andy. I appreciate it.
Sorry, I should have asked, is it Bevan or is it Bevan?
Bevan, you got it right.
Bevan, I got it right. There we go. I should have checked that first, but
that's fine.
Of course, I recently spoke to the guys over at Black Country Championship Wrestling. We spoke quite a lot about the BDK faction and the dominance that you guys have been having over in South Wales and the West Midlands of the UK right now.
Yeah. It's a very good thing. It's not just a wrestling faction, you know. It's a group of friends as well outside of it. I think Lucia Lee went on a podcast not long ago and spoke about it in more depth. She's much better at it than I am. So if you want to hear more about the BDK, I would suggest watching that one. But yeah, it's a great thing. It's a group of friends. We formed outside of wrestling during lockdown. We weren't even planning on bringing it into wrestling originally. It was just, you know, a group of friends that met through wrestling, and we just really liked each other's company and became best of friends. And then we thought, you know, why not? Let's bring it into wrestling. Let's do something with it. And it's just taken off, and it's been great ever since.
It is a very scary faction yourself. Wesker, the man, he's an absolute beast. MJ Grayson is a monster, and yeah, you guys are phenomenal. And yeah, I believe that was Lucia Lee on Grapple Theory. So go check that out. We are good friends with Grapple Theory, and yeah, he always does an awesome job with promoting British wrestling talent. We, of course, Tea and Tights, a Great British Wrestling podcast for Great British Wrestling, as featured on bodystand.net. I am the Great British Attacker, Mr. Entering More, Andy to most. So, setting up No Mercy. So, like, why? Was it dojo first out and then promotion, or was it going to be just straight up, I'm going to do both?
Originally, I had absolutely no plans to promote whatsoever. It was because from companies that I've been involved with before, where I train and stuff, I was quite hands-on with helping with promoting the shows, and I know exactly how stressful it is. And I wasn't even running the show, so you know, at the start, I wasn't planning on running a show. It was purely a case of during COVID and during the lockdowns, I didn't have anywhere to train. And it was around the time when you could feel things were going to start to come back and start to open up a bit more. So I started to think, where can I go? What can I do? Because in Wales, there was only a handful of places, and most of them had closed over COVID. So my only choices were to like either travel into England every time I wanted to train, or I was like, well, I was in a position at the time financially where I could create my own. So that's exactly what I did. So originally my plan was to literally just buy a ring, rent a unit and put it in there and have it sort of like as an open gym type of thing. Where I could have, like, obviously I know a lot of guys in South Wales on the scene who were going to be needing to get rid of that ring rust before shows came back. So that was the plan. It was literally going to be a ring in a unit that I would rent out to my friends and other wrestlers that wanted to come and use it. And it's just snowballed from there, really. It just went into this crazy machine that it's turned into. And yeah, and then eventually I was getting a lot of messages, I noticed, about classes, you know, beginners and fundamentals classes. And again, as I said, I wasn't planning on doing it. And then a lot of people, like a lot of the BDK and a lot of my friends, were saying, you can't ignore the attention you're getting for all of these new classes, you know, questions. You're going to have to do something about it. So it's like, yeah, that's a good point. So we created the classes and we started taking on new beginners and started training people. And that's gone absolutely amazing as well. Since we started it, it's taken off, and we've got a great group of regular guys now. And then that naturally turned into, well, we may as well do a show, you know, why not?
Why not?
Yeah. And I think that's a lot of things in No Mercy. A lot of things that have happened with us have been from, why not? Let's do it. You know,
I like that mentality. It's just relax, and then as you say, take things as they come. You had some great guys over there to hold sessions and training sessions. You've had Mark Andrews, Danny Jones, Shea Purser, Santos Jr., Kelly Six, Martin Kirby. How did that all come about? What's it like bringing them in?
Originally, it was I booked Martin Kirby for our first show, Strike First, Strike Hard, and Martin, he's such an awesome bloke. I cannot even describe how much of a nice guy Martin Kirby is. He's too nice for wrestling, put it that way. And we were chatting, and obviously he was going to do the show anyway. So he said to me, "Well, your venue is big enough. I'm going to be down early anyway. Do you fancy putting on a seminar for some of your guys?" And I thought that's a great idea. So before the show, Martin came along and did I think it was like a 2.5-hour seminar for all of our guys. It was unbelievable, really good. I've done the seminar with him myself. I did it at APW last year sometime. And it's an absolutely amazing seminar. Martin is like, not only is he like a wizard in the ring, he's a fantastic trainer as well. And everyone learned a lot. And that just kind of started the ball rolling with seminars then. And then I thought, well, there's no reason why we can't have a seminar all the time, So I think within the space of like 2.5 months, we had, Martin, Mark, Danny, Kelly Six, lots and lots of people. And it's just a great way for people to learn different ways of wrestling, because obviously there's not just one way of wrestling. So, and seeing other people's way of teaching as well is very, very, a very positive experience, because if you learn from one person for the entirety of your wrestling training career, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but it definitely helps to learn different ways and different methods of training, and it just opens up many, many possibilities. But with all the guys that came to do a seminar, I mean, I know Mark and Danny anyway, because obviously they're part of the Welsh scene. I did a ring job and crew for Mark's Defend Indie Wrestling Weekend down here in Wales. So we provided the ring and crew for that. So we've become pretty close with that kind of thing. And then same with Danny. Kelly Six, I actually worked with him. When was it? I think it might have been 2019. It was my third ever match. 2018, my third ever match, and I was in the ring with Kelly Six, and I was very, 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 very nervous, as you could imagine. And it went amazing. And well, the match didn't go amazing, but the experience was amazing. So I knew him from then, and we've always kind of spoke online and stuff. And I just asked him. I noticed he was doing a lot of seminars, and I've heard nothing but great things about his seminars. So I thought, let's go for it. So I asked him to do one, and he was happy to do it. So that's how that came about.
Yeah, he's a tremendously underrated performer, not working in enough promotions. He's done well promoting himself with this thing that he's got going with Sov Pro at the moment. So it's going to be interesting to follow in that.
Yeah, he's got the promo game and the promotion on the online promotion game. He's got that down. He's great.
Now you mentioned Chaos and doing the ring, and one thing I've noticed about you guys is the fact of how willing and how much you want to work and promote other promotions in and around yourself. You're retweeting other promotions, you're talking about other wrestlers who may not have been in your ring, but you're still promoting them and showing these guys. And I think that's just such a great thing. It's something we love, British promotion working together.
Yeah, I mean, I want to get rid of this old tired dinosaur way of thinking of promotions must hate each other. If there's a promotion within a 20-mile radius, then you have to hate them. It's so stupid to me. And if working together does nothing but help the scene as a whole. It's the times of going around and ripping down another promotion's poster or putting your poster over the top, that is like over and done with, and it's stupid. And I think it should be exiled. I don't understand why some promotions still do it. Unfortunately, I don't know why, but that is the way it is. But I started No Mercy with the intention of working together with other promotions. Like you said, like we work with Mark and Defend. We worked with Pro Wrestling Chaos for their first ever show back. Like that was a unbelievable history making show. Such a great experience. We work with many different places around us in South Wales, like Pro Wrestling Carnage, Slam Masters, and others up in England like BCCW and places like that. But yeah, I just don't see the point in arguing and being negative toward each other, because the only thing that it does is it kills things for the wrestlers themselves, and it causes fights and tension that don't need to be there. And B, as I said, the scene just gets better if everyone works together. It's a win-win situation. So I don't know why people do it.
No, I fully agree. And because if we look at your first show, Strike First, Strike Hard, which you had Wrestle Carnival's championship match, Alex Windsor, in my opinion, the best women's wrestler. Right now, yeah, definitely in the UK. And I think she's got to be in the top 5 of worldwide right now. She's just so amazing. And you had her in the ring with Lucia Lee and Cara, both. Lucia Lee really breaking out at the moment. Cara is somebody who's a little bit more unknown, but she has been getting about a little bit more recently.
Yeah, I do. I like to think that match gave her a little stepping stone up to different places. I got a few eyes on her, I like to think. And I was happy to do it. She's a great person. She's good talent. She's quite new, but you can see that there's going to be something special there. And I was glad to give her that platform to show what she could do. And but that match was unreal too. And as soon as Gary from Wrestle Carnival, as soon as he offered me, because he noticed that I booked Alex, and he just said, "Do you want to put the title on the line?" I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." It was great. And Gary is another person that just loves working with people, and he's fantastic. He's such a nice guy, and he's done so much for us as well. Obviously we're just starting out, but he didn't have to do what he did. He didn't have to give us the platform that he did, and I'm very, very thankful that he did, of course. And just having the Wrestle Carnival Women's title on the line just gave us that extra push. It gave us a bit more eyes on us, And that match was just absolutely phenomenal. It was great.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Gary, such a great guy. He's been a big supporter of us actually since day one, and that's always been quite big for us. He was our first ever sort of named guest, if you like, and that really helped put more eyes onto us. And we'll always be grateful for Wrestle Carnival and what they've been doing for us. My favorite match of that Strike First, Strike Hard was Martin Kirby versus Bishop.
Oh yeah. That was definitely match of the night contender, 100%. Yeah, it was great. It was just a classic wrestling match, and you don't see that much these days. Not in many places, where it's like there's no gimmicks involved. There's no, huge theatrical stuff going on. It was just a pure wrestling match to the bone, hard hitting. Some of those strikes. Yeah. You could feel them in the back. They definitely laid them in for sure. But yeah, absolutely fantastic match again as well. And that's the thing we like to promote in No Mercy as well, is like, don't get me wrong, we have our gimmicks, we have our theatrical stuff. There's a time and a place for it, but fundamentally we just like to promote good on down to earth wrestling type of thing.
No, yeah, I very much enjoyed that match.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, your second show, which was Rise of the Cobras, and you featured your first of the annual Iron Cobra tournament, which I like the fact that there was a lot of new names on the card, on the board for this one. Guys like Shane Hooker, Tom Ferryman, Jake Lennox, Scott Christie, James Ellis. Are these guys that are coming through your dojo at the moment?
So the Iron Cobra is a tournament purely for the No Mercy Dojo trainees. I wanted to create something just for those guys to showcase what they could do. If we kind of treat the Cobra shows as sort of like a developmental type of show, if you will, with the bigger Team Reese gym shows as the main brand. That's how we kind of have built it. The Cobra shows are purely a show for our trainees to get onto. You know, it's a smaller crowd, smaller production, bit less pressure type of thing, sort of like an academy show, if you will. And the tournament, and I thought, well, rather than just putting on the show and just having a bunch of random matches, I thought let's give the guys something to work towards. Let's give them something to get excited about. So I created the Iron Cobra tournament, you know, the classic bracket tournament, and it's really exciting. And that show, because when I first went to this place, so this where it is, it's a tiny little place up in the valley, in the Welsh valleys. Not much goes on. It's I was a little bit 50-50 with how well it was going to do, because, you know, it was a tiny little town in the valleys, but the atmosphere and the crowd and the turnout we had was phenomenal. It was so good. You could see these people were hungry to go and see something, and they haven't had wrestling there. And I think the last time they had wrestling was Welsh wrestling, like 4 years ago, and they toured through there. And I think that's the last time they've even saw anything to do with wrestling. So they were so up for it, and it was just hot from the start to finish, and it was great. The atmosphere, but not just in the crowd, but in the locker room, was perfect. Everyone loved it, and it just went off the wall. It was great, and yeah, it just did so well that the owners were like, after the show, they came up to me. They were like, "This was amazing. We want you back. When can you come back?" So they've booked us for the rest of the year now, and it was just absolutely so successful and great. And I don't want to jinx it, but I think it might have been better than our first show, atmosphere wise. But let's touch wood. Hopefully that carries on.
So who came out on top of the tournament then?
Well, we didn't finish the tournament. It was just the quarterfinals for that. We have our next one, Dawn of the Cobras, on July 17th in the same venue. Then the semi-finals will be on that show. And then the final will be on our next Team Reese Gym show on August 20th. And we'll have the final there. And yeah, it was, who came out on top of for this quarters? It was Shane Hooker, Adam Carter, Kenny Mantra, and Jake Lennox went through to the semi-finals. So we'll have them on the next show in the semis. And but yeah, like as you said just now, these guys are going to be breaking out very soon onto the scene, onto more shows, and I can't wait for that to happen. Like they've really worked hard to get where they are right now, and I think it shows. Like once the footage comes out of this show, people are going to realize, like we need to be keeping an eye on this South Wales scene, because not only with us, but with like New Wave Academy just opening up as well down in Cardiff. And a lot, some of our guys go to train there as well. Like that's another thing that I promote in No Mercy is I like our guys to go everywhere they can to train. I find it wrong if schools hold their students back from going elsewhere. And that does happen, unfortunately. Again, going back to the dinosaur old school ways. But again, there's nothing will come out of it except good if you go around and try different schools, because again, you'll learn from different people, you learn different training methods. And we always encourage our guys to go to New Wave, just down the road in Cardiff if they want to. It just helps everyone gets better at a faster rate, So with us, with New Wave, there's going to be a lot of new, really good talent coming out of Wales in the next year, I'd say.
Yeah, because New Wave was originally Dragon Pro, but they've sold that to Brendan White, who's now opened up New Wave, and of course he has that connection with Danny Jones over at Chaos. And from the guys that we've talked to with Slam Masters, again, they talk about this friendship that is between promotions rather than working against each other.
Yeah.
So it's great to see, and something we like. What do you go with with you guys training? Do you recommend anyone go into learning legitimate as well? Because I know Bishop has a jiu-jitsu background. Is that correct?
Yeah. We are very big on learning fundamentals in legitimate combat sports as well. Bishop has his jiu-jitsu background. I have a background in kickboxing, so I find if you legitimately have training in another combat sport, it's just going to make wrestling even better for you. You know, I don't want to say it's going to be easier to learn pro wrestling, but it's definitely going to help. And it gives you that base to work on and work around. Like, you know, some of the best on the scene right now have martial arts backgrounds, like Mike Bailey or Cara Noir, for example. You can see that they have a martial arts background aside from pro wrestling. So I don't think that's a coincidence that some of the best already have a basis in another combat sport. And yeah, we like to promote that. We like to really, really make that a thing. And we kind of train our fundamentals classes with, we strip it completely down. We bring it back to basics. And it's just, and what wrestling started off as was grappling on a mat, you know, but that's how it all started. And that's what we bring it back to. And then eventually, obviously when the guys move up to intermediate or advanced classes, that's when they can start thinking about going on to what style they want to bring to the ring, you know, onto shows and stuff. It's always better, in my eyes anyway, it's always better to have those fundamental basics down and not use them rather than need to use them and not know them. You know, there's nothing worse than being new on the scene and then you thrown into a match, say with a 10-year veteran, and then the guy is like, right, well, we're going to do 5 minutes of tech, and then we're going to do 5 minutes of British tech, and then you're just like a deer in the headlights. You're like, well, you look like Homer on this shirt. Just, yeah. Oh God. So it's always better to actually have those skills and not need them rather than the other way around, in my eyes anyway.
Yeah, because if you look at the New Japan way of doing it, they just train the fundamentals in their young lions over and over and over. You see it in the early matches of the young lions not allowed to do anything other than, you know, headlock, wrist lock, leg lock,
maybe a drop kick,
maybe, and then they're sort of like, then they give them the choice, where do you want to go, who do you want to work with, and then they'll send them over to Mexico if they want to be a high flyer, if they want to be a bit more British and technical. Well, obviously they head over to Rev Pro UK and in America as well. So I like that way of getting that sort of system in place.
Yeah,
and I love fundamentals in wrestling. I think it's something that, as you say, it's a lost art a little bit with some.
Yeah, it's absolutely necessary, I think. And you know, and not only about skill wise, it's about safety too. You know, you know, you have to be safe in the ring as well as, you know, as well as being good. You know, but most important is about being safe. And there's too many schools out there that just don't teach enough safety, in my opinion. You know, like of course you can show people suplexes and body slams and drop kicks till the cows come home, but showing them why to do it and when to do it, unless you're doing that, there's no point in doing it at all. You know, like there's a difference between putting on a pair of tights, getting in the ring and just doing moves to actually wrestling. You know, there's a big difference. That one is play wrestling. That one is actual wrestling in my eyes. So we don't just teach people, you know, the fundamentals. Once we get on to like actual more intermediate or advanced stuff, not only do we teach them how, but we teach them why and when to do it and how to implement it into a match. Because again, I found there's not enough schools that actually do that. Teaching people psychology and, you know, the reasons for doing something at a certain time, you know.
Now, I talked to some companies, they like to work on the cardio and making sure strength and conditioning is a factor. Is that something that you guys do with your?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in our dojo, we have our own gym as well. So, because that's, again, when I built the dojo, I didn't want it to be just a ring in a unit and that's it, like a lot of schools. I built a strength and conditioning section. We have a promo area. I have a room, because obviously I used to do entrance music and entrance videos. So I have a room where I can do that for guys. And so it's basically anything a pro wrestler needs, it's all under one roof. You know, there's the training, there's the gym for strength and conditioning. You've got the promo area to practice any promos or even take photo promos, video, of course. We've got green screens and black screens and all that jazz. And and then you can go next door into the little room I've got, into the studio, get some music done, get a video done, and then off you go. You're sorted.
Do you do much tape study where you say you guys go watch these matches or go watch this following sessions?
Absolutely, yeah. We've got a screen on the wall as well.
Okay.
Where we will do match study, and not only other people's but our own as well. So yeah, after our shows, we'll have a session where we'll do a match review of the guys' matches, and we'll sit down and we'll watch it and go over things. So yeah, so it's a decent little. Even if I do say so myself, it's a decent facility. I think I've built something pretty cool.
No, I think that's pretty cool. All right, we're going to do, before we promote your next show, which is a huge show, and you've got a huge star coming, so stay tuned for all that. Let's get to know you a bit more. Now, obviously, you have some sort of love for Cobra Kai and Karate Kid.
How could you guess?
I love Cobra Kai. It is one of my favorite TV shows right now.
It's so good.
Can't wait for season 5. And,
yes.
September. Yes.
September it is. Yeah.
Really looking forward to that. But what made you fall in love with wrestling?
I got into wrestling a lot. I mean, I'm a bit older than most when I started wrestling. I started wrestling when I was 29. Which is very, very late in the game. Obviously, most people are going to start in the teenage years or even 18, 19. But I started at 29. But I've always been a fan. I remember my first proper memory is Hogan versus Warrior, champion versus champion. That was that's the first time I can actually remember being invested in something to do with wrestling. Obviously, I'd seen it, but that was the first proper time I was like, I'm interested in this. I want to see what happens. And then obviously the Attitude Era came along when I was a teenager. So that was it. I was hooked from then on. I'd say the Attitude Era and original ECW is what got me hooked on wrestling. So I remember, can you remember back on Sky TV, they had a channel called Bravo?
Yes.
Yeah. I think it was late 90s, early 2000s. I remember flicking through it on a Sunday night. I should have been in bed because I had school the next day, but it was very late. I was flicking through the channels and I landed on Bravo, and ECW Hardcore TV was on. And they had it on syndication, but it was never in order. So you could never follow the storylines. It was like one episode here, one episode 4 weeks before, and then they flip back and forth. But I remember watching original ECW, and I was just like, because when I was a kid, because I didn't have Sky, I didn't know that WCW existed. I didn't know NWA existed. I didn't know any of this. I thought WWF was it, and that was it. And then I saw this ECW show, and I was like, what is this? I didn't realize wrestling could be like this. And from then on, that was it. I was hooked. And I was watching ECW every week. And then obviously WWF became a bit more adult orientated with the Attitude Era. And it just blew up from there, and I was a huge fan from then on.
Yeah, I remember that period. I don't like to mention how old I really am. I like to think I don't look my age at least, but
Same.
Yes, I remember those.
Same. I'll give people clues, but I'll never tell them the number.
That's it. So you mentioned 29 getting into wrestling. How did it kind of happen?
Well, I always wanted to train. I always wanted to try and become a wrestler. I remember when I was 14, 15, I went to see my careers advisor in school, and they sat, when you've got to choose your GCSEs, and they sat me down and they said, so what do you want to be when you grow up? I said, I want to be a professional wrestler. And they laughed and sent me out of the room and said, come back when you're a bit more serious about this. And I was really insulted, and I still am to this day. And I really hope I meet that careers advisor at some point in my life to show them, well, I've kind of done it in a way, obviously not to a point where I'm making a lot of money from it, but still I've made something out of it. But yeah, I remember I was laughed at a lot at that point when I was tell people I want to be a wrestler. And back then there wasn't anything around. There was no schools. I remember do you remember the magazine Power Slam?
Yeah.
I used to get Power Slam every week. And in the back, they used to have adverts for wrestling clothing companies or figure companies, little things like that. And I remember seeing an advert for, I think it was Hammerlock UK, the old Hammerlock UK schools. and there was one in Newcastle, and I remember looking at it and going, and they were doing a 4-week camp in the summer, and I was desperate to go to it, and I was like, this is it, this is where I can start my training. I'd saved up like money from doing like odd jobs throughout the summer, and I was ready to go. I was like, I had applied for it. They said, yeah, that's cool. They even said, like, because you're 15, you can sleep in the ring, it's fine. And then I asked my mum. My mother had to obviously sign off on it because I was under 18, and my mother wouldn't do it, and I was so upset. She wouldn't sign off on it. So I forgot about it for about 15 years, because there was nothing around. Like, it's not like it was today where you can find a school on every street corner. Back then, it was very, very sparse, and to get in, you had to know someone, and it was still very guarded and still very protected back then. And we're talking about 2000, 2001, so not even that long ago. But yeah, I just kind of gave up on it then, because I just thought there was no way to do it in this country. I didn't have any way to get into it. And then it just so happens one day I was in work. I was working in an e-cigarette shop at the time, and this guy came in with a load of posters, and he said, do you mind if I put a poster up in your shop? It's for professional wrestling. And I was like, I love professional wrestling. Yeah, go for it. So I took a look at the poster, and on the bottom it said wrestling school, and it was in Port Talbot, which is in South Wales, and it was only about an hour away from me. And I thought, I had no idea this existed. So I asked the dude, I was like, can I come and train? And he was like, absolutely. And it just started from there. And it seems like with me in wrestling, things seem to just happen, and things seem to just fall into my lap without me trying. And it's been happening with No Mercy too, and it's a great thing. I'm very, very glad it does happen that way. But yeah, things just seem to like coincidentally fall into my lap with wrestling. It's very strange.
I like that. I used to call that happy-go-lucky. I used to have that quite often. I would just go from one thing to another without actually trying to do it. I just kind of happened. I always just happy-go-lucky. Right. So you used to produce wrestler theme songs before all of this. When did you have when did your background in music come from?
Well, I've always kind of been into music. I've always had like a little home studio. That was my first love, really, was music. I've been a musician like most of my life. I've always been in bands and that kind of thing. And when I started training, I was trying to kind of look into every avenue I could about trying to get into wrestling. So I was like, well, if I can't make it as a wrestler, I can always try and take photographs at a show, or I can always try and do video, or I can always try and referee. I was just looking at every single avenue possible, because I wanted to get into this business so much that I was determined, no matter what, to be involved in some way. Even if it wasn't as a wrestler, I wanted to be involved. So yeah, when I was training, excuse me, I was like, well, I'm not on shows yet. I'm still training. How can I make people know who I am? How can I get my name out there without actually wrestling? So I started making entrance themes for some of the guys that I trained with who are already on shows. And I started doing them for free. And, I just started throwing them out there and just say, look, I'll do this for free, but as a payment to me, just let people know that I do it, get my name out. And that's how it kind of started. And I just started doing entrance themes, and eventually, again, it just kind of snowballed naturally. And then I ended up doing the themes for like RJ Singh and his latest one I've done. I was due to do an entire roster's worth of themes just after this whole speaking out thing. But unfortunately, the guy that was creating this promotion was then also outed.
Yeah, I think I know the promotion.
I think you know who I mean. Yeah, and so obviously then that went kaput. But yeah, I was due to do the entire roster for that promotion. But yeah, what happened there? Is what happened. But yeah, so I've kind of had a varied career in wrestling. I've had very different avenues, because again, I started filming shows as well before I started getting onto shows myself. So I used to edit edit for shows and film and edit entrance videos and music videos and highlight reels and that kind of thing. So yeah, I've kind of had my finger in many different wrestling pies, if you will, and before I started actually getting in the ring myself.
Our Big Daddy Dan, his one of his day jobs is actually as a DJ, so I'm sure he would actually love this. But what are some of the epic entrance themes that you really love then out there in the world?
Oh, I think I always loved, because I was a huge Hulk Hogan fan. I was a Hulkamaniac through and through. I always loved Hulk Hogan's theme. And I think still to this day, it gets people, it just hits when that first like chord hits. It's just like, it makes people excited. I love Real American. I don't know what it's about. I just love it. Shawn Michaels, of course, classic, fantastic. DX's. There were so many good music collabs in the Attitude Era. I think that like WWF, they did a music CD with different bands like covering the entrance themes. I love that.
I had that.
I think it was called Relentless or something like that.
I'm not sure if it's that one, but I remember. Was it the one that was produced by Mr. Oh God, Britain's Got Talent dude. What's his name?
Simon Cowell.
That's the one. Him.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I had that one.
He also, believe it or not, he also produced the WrestleMania song where all of the WWF guys sang on. Yeah, he was the brains behind that, believe it or not. But yeah, I loved all of that era of music. I also loved what ECW used to do, like what Paul Heyman used to do to get around paying copyright. He would just overdub it on the bootleg video VHSs. And I love those old videos because you can still hear the song faintly underneath. But they've kind of poorly overdubbed this generic pop or rock song, but you can still see Sandman coming down and hear Metallica playing underneath it. And I just love, like, he was so like guerrilla with what he did. He was like, and people used to say, well, how did you get away with not paying the copyright? We just play it and then we overdub it later.
No, yeah, Paulie used to have a few tricks up his sleeve while in ECW.
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah, I used to love, what was it? Because they were basic, but I really liked the Rockers when they used to come out. It's very similar to the Ultimate Warriors one, and then also when you heard "What a Rush" from the Legion of Doom, my God.
Oh yes, Ultimate Warrior was one of my favorite. Like, it was the ropes, of course, all of that, and the music was fantastic. Obviously, it was only later on you realize how bad he was in the ring, but yeah, I mean, but you can't deny, as a child, seeing and hearing him come out was like, you forget about how bad he is in the ring, because he just had that charisma, that you can't teach that.
Yeah, see, I wasn't a Hulkamaniac. I was a little warrior.
The warrior.
as well as the Rockers. The Rockers were my favorite. They as tag, and that's why I love tag team wrestling to this day, just because of the Rockers. They were just.
I love the Rockers. Yeah.
What about any current songs that I'm loving? Will Ospreay's new song on from New Japan, and RKJ Ricky Knight Jr.'s Rev Pro UK song is absolute banger. Yeah,
I love Malachi Black's new one. I loved it. I loved this theme when he was in NXT as Aleister Black. That was one of the greatest that's come out. Just his entrance because I find like Tommy N, whatever you want to call him, he treats his entrance as part of his wrestling, and I love that. He doesn't, because a lot of guys will go, oh, this is my entrance, and now I'm in the ring, and now I'm doing my wrestling. They keep it as a separate entity, whereas he combines it, and he's like, no. He starts as soon as he comes out of that curtain. That's when his wrestling starts, because the entrance is part of it, and I love that. I love that kind of thinking of. He's very creative in how he presents himself, because as soon as if you've never seen him wrestle before, as soon as he comes out of the curtain, you're just like. You're captivated, you're mesmerized, and that's the idea of a good entrance, obviously. And he's just brilliant at it. And so anything to do with Tommy End, I love. He's so good.
Oh yeah, Malachi Black, Aleister Black, Tommy End. Yeah, always been one of my favorites. I love the kickboxing, obviously. Of course, you mentioned it. You got the background of kickboxing, so
It makes sense, yeah.
a bit of a fun question. If you had the choice of doing a tour of Japan, America, or Europe, which one would you go for?
I would go for America, probably. Just because I love America. I used to live there. I lived there for a couple of years a while ago. So as mad as a box of frogs the country is right now, it is a bit of a mad place, but it's still so much fun as well. And I've never been over there for anything to do with wrestling, so I'd love to go over to actually either wrestle or do something to do with wrestling over there. So I'm hopefully going to be doing that next year at some point. But yeah, I'd probably say America.
BDK and GCW. That'd be good.
That'd be so good. Yeah. BDK anywhere in America would be great. Yeah.
I think so. And so let's talk about the Mount Rushmore of British wrestling, or as we like to call it, the Mount Rushton, because we are British, of course. 4 people who you feel like have influenced yourself and the scene most.
Okay. Does this include past and present?
Past and present, yeah. We've had people say Chris Brooks. We've had people talk about Johnny Saint. It's really completely up to yourself.
There's 4 people on Mount Rushmore, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I can't remember if it was 4 or 5. Obviously, number 1 would be William Regal. He's, like, in my opinion, the greatest British wrestler of all time, and probably that there ever will be. He's just unbelievable. Like, just such a great, not only great in the ring, but his mind for wrestling is just unbeatable. You'll never find a better mind for it. I would say I'm going to be a little bit biased here because of Wales, but for getting eyes on us, I would probably say either Mark or Hitch, or maybe them combined.
Yeah.
Just because obviously it's not, obviously they did a lot of work before they got signed, but when they got signed, they kind of put eyes, and Flash as well, actually, they put eyes on Wales for talent coming out of this country. And obviously being on the network, everyone in the world can now see these guys are from Wales. Oh, there must be something good going on there. Let's check out Wales. Let's check out this promotion. And it's obviously it does nothing but good. So yeah, that kind of group of guys I'd probably put in there. Maybe Frankenstein them and put them in there as one. Excuse me. I'd probably say Will Ospreay as well. Again, he's brought unbelievable attention to the British scene just from being in Japan and how good he is, of course. And right now, as you said, like right now, he's probably one of the best in the world. And I don't think anyone can deny that. Like whether you love him or hate him, he's unbelievable. He's so talented. And like the kind of style he used to do, like with Ricochet and stuff, I wasn't a huge fan of it. I find it a bit too choreographed, a little bit too much like a dance, if you will. Yeah. But again, I'm not taking anything away from it. It's unbelievably skillful, and you need to be crazy talented to do it. But yeah, it just wasn't really my cup of tea. But now he's like he's gone from like the junior heavyweight up to heavyweight, and he's put a bit more size on. And heel Will Ospreay is one of the greatest things I've ever seen. He's so good as a heel. I love it. And I don't think he should ever be a babyface ever again. He's so good as a heel. Yeah, so that's 3. And number 4, it would be a toss-up between Davey Boy Smith and Dynamite Kid. I would have to
put them in as the Bulldogs.
Or the Bull, yeah.
There we go. Sandwich them together.
Put them in as the tag team. There you go. But yeah, again, those guys like did unbelievable things for this country in the 80s, and like going to Canada and stuff. Like seeing Davey Boy Smith on TV, it made everyone here think, oh wait, we can do this too. Like we can be British and go to America and wrestle. Like that was unheard of back then. So seeing him do it and obviously be successful at it gave a lot of young kids, I think, the realization that this can be possible for them too, and I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, again, growing up, I was just so into Davey Boy. Will Ospreay, as you mentioned, one of the best wrestlers in the, if not the best wrestler in the world right now. Truly, it's quite undeniable. And it's amazing to see him. He's put so much weight on, as you mentioned. I think there's a reason why he went on to become a world champion, and Ricochet's kind of been left on the Intercontinental mid-card title, and it's because he decided, I'm going to put on weight, and I'm going to do my flips when I want to do my flips, but I'm going to add more to my game, and I think that's why he's become a world champion.
Absolutely, yeah. It's, as you said, it's not a coincidence, you know.
And I like to poke fun at Mark Andrews and Mark Hitchcock and Flash. I do, but they are so phenomenally talented, and I'll always push that over, even when I'm just having a bit of fun. That they are just so talented. And Regal is, as you mentioned, his brain and the way he scouted out all the NXT talent, the NXT UK talent. He's got just such a brilliant, and what he's done for the UK scene. All of these guys are truly deserving to be on the spot. So I love that list. Let's talk about some future top prospects, though. Let's go for 4 guys who you think are really coming up in the scene right now.
Okay. I would be biased and say all the BDK. So we'll keep them on a separate list. That's obviously going to happen. But outside of BDK, I would say I'm really loving Max the Impaler right now. They embody like everything I think a wrestler should be. Like they've got size, they've got brutality, and you look at them and it's just like I feel like, holy, I'm intimidated, you know. Like they are so good at what they do, and it's like, and it seems like they've come out of nowhere as well. It's crazy. But yeah, I'm really loving Max the Impaler right now. Who else we got? Warren Banks is on the way to be one of the greatest, I think.
There he is, middle t-shirt right now.
So good. Again, he's like a magician in the ring. Like I've seen him live once a couple of years ago before he'd started really coming up, and even back then you could see it. You could see he was going to be something special, and I'm so happy that he's getting the recognition now that he deserves, because he is so bloody good and he deserves it. Who else we got? I'll be a little bit biased and say one of my guys, Shane Hooker, he's going to be talked about up in the group that we're talking about right now eventually, because he's 19 years old. He's only been training for 6 months, and he's already like world class. He is so natural at it. He's got such a great natural ability. He can basically just do anything that you ask of him. He's like a computer game character. And I did have this idea once of when he comes out, of having someone come out with a control pad behind him and like and to be controlling him. Just a little fun gimmick. But yeah, because basically he's training to be a stuntman as well. So he can do so many cool things. He's literally like a ninja. He's so cool and good. And not only that, but he's got a great attitude. He's very humble, and he's so hungry for what he wants to do. And he's always at training, week in, week out. He's helping out as much as he possibly can. He just wants to soak in as much knowledge as possible. And the stuff this kid is going to be doing next year it's going to be phenomenal. And people need to be keeping an eye on him, because he's going to break out. And that's why, I've put him in the match I have at our next show, because I want to give him the platform to show people, like, even though he's very new and he's very green, but he deserves to be in that match with these people, because he is going to be on that level very, very soon. So I'll probably put Shane on there. How many more have I got?
One more.
This is going to be tough, because I don't want to leave anyone out. Yeah, there's many people going around in my mind, but they're not really breakout stars. They've been around for a while.
I will say probably Nico Angelo.
Yeah.
Like he's just starting. Like COVID obviously really hurt a lot of people, obviously for obvious reasons, but wrestling wise, people were just starting to come up, and then the balloon popped. And I feel that kind of happened with Nico. He was just starting to break out and starting to get around, and then the world shut down. And I was so upset for people like Nico because he's so good that he just needed that one promotion just to push him and give him the platform to show what he can do. And I'm so glad now that it's happened that he can show what he can do, because he is phenomenal, and like if you ever see him live, like the amount, like if you sit in the crowd and you watch a Nico Angelo match, obviously watch the match, but also look around the crowd and you will see at least 80 to 90% of people will just be like this because they just can't believe what's going on. They can't believe what he's doing. So I would say within the next year or two, Nico is going to be, one of the most talked about people in the country, if not the world. So I would definitely stick Nico on there as well. Yeah.
No, that's a good pick. I'm going to go see him at TNT Extremes Project X, and that looks phenomenal. And he was our pick to win that. So
there we go.
We like that. Now you have the show coming up, which is 14th of July, Alpha Wrestling in Pembrokeshire, and you have the one and only Scott Garland, obviously the formerly known as Scotty Too Hotty, WWE legend.
Absolutely.
Are you excited for that?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think because as of yesterday, it was 2 weeks to the day until the show, and I think that only then hit me that what I'm about to do. It's like, because when you run a show, you've got so much to do that you don't tend to have time to actually think about what you're doing. Like only until like the day of, or maybe a day before, it actually hits you like, oh, I'm doing this. And especially like if you're working your own show as well. Like I work on my own bigger shows, but the smaller Cobra shows I don't work, because A, I like to keep a spot open for my own guys, and B, it's so much less stressful if you don't have to worry about doing a match too. So it's a little bit of a double thing there. But yeah, like I never thought this would be possible when I started No Mercy. Like, so Scott was a sort of like a childhood hero of mine. I was the biggest too cool mark you'll ever find. I used to like dress. I had everything. I had the baseball jersey. I have the glasses. I still have the glasses. I had the hats. I had everything. And I used to dress up as the third member, or the fourth member, sorry. And I was the biggest Too Cool fan. And the fact that I've now got, Scotty Too Hotty on my show is like, my head's just blown. And it's going to be amazing. It's going to be so good. Like the venue that we're at, so in Pembrokeshire and West Wales, that's where I was born and that's where I grew up. And we never had anything, it's about 10, 15 years behind everyone else because it's so far west. It's so far away from the nearest city is Swansea, and it's about an hour and a half away from us. So we never get anything. And I've always just wanted to bring wrestling to Pembrokeshire, just A, because as I said, they never get anything, and B, it's every wrestler wants to wrestle in their hometown. If they say they don't, they're either lying or they're wrong. Like they want to wrestle in their hometown, because the amount of stress that leaves you when you're going to get a reaction before you go out the curtain, because your whole family and friends are there, it's a great feeling, obviously. So I've always wanted to bring like my kind of wrestling to Pembrokeshire, and No Mercy to Pembrokeshire. So I was planning on running a show there anyway, and then the opportunity came up that Scott was available. Gary, actually from Wrestle Carnival, messaged me. He said, just to let you know, Scott's going to be in the country in July. So I'm like, really? That's good timing. So I literally just emailed him and asked him if he wanted to work the show, and he was like, hey man, if you want to pay me, I'll work. So and like, he's so nice too. He's like one of the nicest guys I've ever spoken to in wrestling. Like, I don't know what I was expecting, but
he's just a great person, you know. And I think, you know, it was going to be the case, that old saying of, you know, don't meet your heroes type of thing. But yeah, that's not true with him. He's just awesome. He's an awesome person. And yeah, it's going to be so cool. And everyone that I tell, but especially in Pembrokeshire, they're like, I've had a lot of people message me, like a lot of my old friends from there. They message me saying, like, is that the real Scotty 2 Hotty or is it a fake? And I'm like, no, it's the real one. It's like what we used to get there was, so there's a place in Pembrokeshire called Tenby. It's like a summer holiday destination, and you used to get like wrestling companies that would bring fake WWF stars. Like they would be the Undertaker, there would be Kane but with a blue mask, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the wrestlers look nothing like who are they supposed to be. It was just really funny. And that's all Pembrokeshire had in wrestling wise, and that's all they've ever been used to. So I think bringing No Mercy to Pembrokeshire is going to open a lot of eyes there, and they're going to be like, oh, this is what wrestling could be. Wow. And especially now, obviously, because we've got Scott too, it's just going to be mental. It's going to be so cool, and I'm really, really excited for it. It's as I said, it's 2 weeks away, and it's only just hit me what I'm about to do. So I'm starting to get a little nervous too.
It does feel like we've come such a long way when it comes to British wrestling, from almost bringing it back to what it wants, and I think we're nearly there. We can, you know, British wrestling. It was the reason I set this thing up. It's just why is no one promoting British wrestling on big media promotions?
Yeah.
You know, what culture? Well, as soon as their promotion went down, that's it. They stopped talking about British wrestling on their show, and Cultaholic rarely ever mention it, despite the fact that Tom Campbell was a commentator for at least North Wrestling and BWR.
Yeah.
And I was like, right, well, I've got this thing with Body Slam. I'm going to do British wrestling. That's what I want to do. These guys are incredibly talented guys out there. And you got this fatal 5-way match, which features some truly incredible guys. Shane Hooker versus Billy Hayes versus Lucia Lee. So sorry, not incredible people. Nico Angelo and Jay Joshua. That's going to be an insane match.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I booked it that way. I knew putting these people in this match, I knew it would be giving the crowd exactly what they paid for. You know, it's going to be, because as I said, the venue we have, it's basically a nightclub, and so it's going to be a very intimate setting. It's going to be it's all standing as well. There's no seating, so it's very similar to like the old Progress venues they used to do.
Yeah.
The very small intimate ones. As I said, there's a balcony all the way around the ring, so it's gonna go off. Someone's gonna probably jump off it. I don't know. I don't know yet, obviously, but we'll see. But yeah, that match. I booked it that way for a reason, because I knew having these people and in that type of match in the main event, those people are gonna go home happy. I know that for a fact. It's gonna be great.
Well, if people have seen Nico Angelo on Croatian Pro Wrestling, they'll know that Nico Angelo loves the balcony.
Yeah, and Shane loves the balcony too. Shane, like at training,
of course.
All Shane has been going on to me about is like, oh, is there a balcony there? Can I do this? Oh, can I try and do this? Can I do that? I'm like, you can do whatever you want, mate. I'm like, as long as you sign a waiver, I'm good. as long as you you know, say everything you do is under your own merit, and you know, I'm not forcing you to do with anything. You know, I'd be happy if you got on the mat and wrestled for 15 minutes, but it's up to you what you want to do. But yeah, it's gonna be absolutely crazy. And also like putting Lucia in there as well. Like she was obviously she's very thankful and like is really excited for it. But she said to me, she was like, are you sure you want to put me in this? I was like, yeah, absolutely. I'm sure I want to put you in this. You deserve it. You're ready for it. And that's another person who is like just on the cusp of breaking out of that glass ceiling, you know, like again, COVID hit and it just ruined everything for her. And again, like as soon as she gets that platform of that wider audience, I think again next year she's going to be one of the people that everyone's talking about. Like she just debuted on the Kamikaze main shows for the first time, and that was a huge thing for her. I know, like obviously she's one of my best friends, so
we talk a lot, but like those types of shows, debuting on those types of shows for her is very important because she trained at the Kamikaze Dojo for a long time, and she's been on the Kamikaze live shows, the academy shows for a while, and getting that Kamikaze main show debut is very important for her, and I'm really happy for her. And I think, again, putting her in this match for the Fatal 5-Way is not only obviously going to be a great experience for her, but when people see the footage of this match, it's going to explode and people are going to be like, wow, I need these people at my show. And that's what I want to do. I want No Mercy to be one of those places that gives the stepping stone to somewhere bigger, and if I can do that, I'll be a happy person. Like, I'll love it. That'd be great. I've done my job.
Well, I'm going to suggest a dream matchup for you guys at some point, and that is Jay Joshua versus Bishop, because that's going to be hard hitting and very technical, and that's a real good match I'd love to see. If you could book any dream match on your shows, what would it be?
Oof. Now you're asking. Would it do? Is that? I tell you what, I'll do one including myself and then one not including myself.
Go for it.
My dream match for me, I would love to be in there with Mike Bailey. Like, to me, Mike Bailey is like, again, extremely underrated. He is up there with some of the best, and he doesn't get used enough on the mainstream platform. I think he's great, and I would love to have that match. I'd also love to work Hitch at Wild Boar, because we're very similar in like build, we're very similar in size, sort of like style as well. Like, I'll fully hold my hands up and admit I've borrowed a lot of things from Hitch over the years, just because we're similar style and size. So yeah, I'd love to have a match with Hitch. With me not involved, I would love, again, as you said, Jay and Bishop would be phenomenal, and that would not be a match for the faint-hearted. I don't think it would be very hard hitting, but I would love to have let me think. Well, we got a guy, one of our trainees, they go by Darling Darcy to Kill. They're very theatrical based, very visual. They base their persona on like old school Gold Dust and that kind of thing. So I would love to see, and Darcy is very, they're on their way up as well. They'll be one of the names come breaking out next year, I think, as well. I would love to see Darcy and Cara Noir, because those two theatrical styles would mash so perfectly, I think. And that would be a cool match to see, I think, as well. We do have a guy as well at the dojo called Adam Carter. He is he's built like a wall. he's 6'2". I think he's I'd say about 15, 16 stone of just pure meat. He's like he's just a wall. You run into Adam, you know you're going to be hit. He can throw you if you like, even if you don't want to be thrown, you're being thrown. You got no choice. He's very much into his throws and his power moves and stuff. So I think him versus Wesker would be a very, very good match, and I probably will book that at some point. And I think, if that did happen, I would say keep your eyes on it, because that would be a very good match.
If you could book one person in the entire world for No Mercy Pro Wrestling, who would it be?
Ooh, can they be dead?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. I would probably say Owen Hart. I was a massive Owen Hart fan. Like, I loved Owen Hart, and I'm one of the people that's in the camp of, I think Owen was better than Bret, as controversial as it is.
He was more well-rounded.
Yeah, and I don't know. I found Owen had a bit more to him. You know, he was a bit more charismatic. Sorry, and like his heel work is some of the best ever. Like the rivalry of when him and Bret turned on each other, that was like one of the greatest rivalries ever. And
yeah, I just loved Owen Hart. He's in my top 5 of all time. I loved him. But also on the same hand, I will go with probably one of the most probably the most predictable was Stone Cold. Like, I would love Stone Cold, and yeah, having Stone Cold would be obviously amazing, but that won't happen, of course. Well, you never know. You never know.
Of course. What about somebody from NXT UK then?
Have to be Dragunov. He is unreal, man. I again, he's one of these people that you believe him. You believe when you see him in that ring, you believe what he's doing. He's real. He's legit. And when he hits someone, they're being hit. There's no pulling punches with Ilya Dragunov, and he has that style, that just like that aggressive, legit style that I personally love. And that's the kind of style we teach in No Mercy as well. It's like obviously we're laying it in, but we're doing it in safe places. It's not going to be. We're not sending anyone to the hospital. We're not making sure someone's going to be off work for the next week after a match. It's going to be. It's. You can tell we're laying them in, but it's safe. So there's a difference between safe and stiff, or snug and stiff, I should say. And
so your Eagle Fang, then, because
yeah.
you're not quite Cobra Kai, but you're not too Miyagi. I think you're the middle part. Middle. So Eagle Fang.
Yeah, we're in the middle. Yeah, we walk down the center of that line. Yeah, definitely.
Excellent. Go on then. Put your dojo members, one person in each of Eagle Fang, Cobra Kai, and Miyagi-Do.
I would say for his personality wise, Shane Hooker would be in Miyagi-Do because he's very humble and he's very respectful, and he's just a nice dude, lovely kid. Won't say boo to a goose. He's great. Adam Carter, just for his brutality, he would be in Cobra Kai, 100%. Tom Ferriman, I'd say he'd flip between Cobra Kai and Eagle Fang on a weekly basis, depending on how he was feeling at the time. We got Scott Christie would be in Miyagi-Do, 100%. Jake Lennox, Cobra Kai. Ethan Thomas, Miyagi-Do. Kenny Mantra, Eagle Fang. Dan Brooks, Eagle Fang. Am I forgetting anyone? I hope not. Excuse me. How many have I said?
I've lost
7, maybe. Yeah. I'd say there's a good mixture in our guys.
I like that. We'll have to definitely clip that one and send that one out so you guys can see where you put them.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely.
Right. Thank you for joining me today. Is there anything else? No Mercy gear, of course. Where can people pick that up? I notice you do have your own line of t-shirts and hoodies.
We do. We obviously sell our t-shirts at our shows, but we do also have an online store. It's a square site .shop/No Mercy, I believe. No Mercy Wrestling. But there is a link on our Facebook and our website and our Instagram and all of that jazz. Probably the best thing to do for anyone to find out anything to do with us is we have a link tree on all of our social media. So if you click the link tree, it comes up with everything we have. The online store, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all of that. TikTok is a funny one. I never planned to do a TikTok. But someone said, "Oh, maybe you should try it and see what happens." And I tried it. I put it on there. I just put clips, little clips from different matches on there, and it's actually blown up quite a bit. Like some of the videos have had 6,000-7,000 views already. It's crazy. So I never expected that. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, if you go on the link tree, it's got everything you need to see on there. But all of our social media has got the same handle. It's at No Mercy Wrestle. Unfortunately, No Mercy Wrestling was taken. It's been taken by a collegiate wrestling company in America who are called No Mercy Wrestling, unfortunately. But yeah, so that handle I couldn't have, but No Mercy Wrestle was the next best thing. So at No Mercy Wrestle, and that's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, pretty much every social media you can think of. And yeah, if you go onto the link tree, you'll find our store, and you can find all of our merch on there. And obviously, we did have a streaming service in Powered 4 TV.
Yeah.
Of course, they've now unfortunately stopped, which was very sad. I was very sad about that. They were doing great things for the scene in Britain. And
one of the first company to actually sponsor us as well. So
yeah,
looking for a new sponsor now.
Oh, there we go. But yeah, like those guys were awesome. They helped us out so much for such a new company as well. Like we had no content to put out. We had nothing to offer them, but they still helped us out. They still like, yeah, but we want you on board. You know, we can, because I sent them. We have a little mini documentary, which is free to watch if anyone wants to do it. It's on the YouTube and on the Powered 4 TV channel as well. Just to show what kind of thing we do at the dojo, gives a little behind the scenes look. And so I offered them that, and they loved it. They were like, just off the back of that, they were like, yeah, we want you on board. This will be great. And yeah, I'm going to miss those guys. They were really, really supportive and helpful to us.
Yeah.
But going forward, we do have a new website coming, and we have streaming service and a ticket service built in, all in one. So it's all in one place from now on. As soon as that new website's up, obviously I'll announce it. But it's being built as we speak.
Excellent. So guys, get out there, go to No Mercy Wrestling, Pembrokeshire, 14th of July, Alpha Wrestling, see the legendary Scott Garland, aka Scotty Too Hotty. Wesker will be there, yourself, RC Chaos, Shane Hooker, Billy Hayes, Lucia Lee, Jay Joshua, and I'm sure there's other incredible names to be announced in the next coming week. And definitely go check No Mercy out, because we're big fans.
Thank you very much, man. I appreciate that.
No worries. With that said, just remember, don't feed the trolls.